Good afternoon. There were a lot of things that I thought I would feel standing here. Giddy is not one of them, but I am actually giddy. Looking out at you, I am so excited for you, and you can't see yourselves, but so many of you look so serious. So I want you to just smile. I want you to smile. This is the cream. This is the good stuff. So enjoy it. Enjoy being here. This is a celebration of you. And it is an indescribable honor to speak with you here today. As a proud alum of this storied institution, I'm deeply humbled to be here, and I am delighted to join the faculty and administration and alumni in welcoming you to this profession. I love this profession. It's not perfect, but I love it, and I learned to love it here, and you will too. In the time that I have with you today, I'd love to share so many things with you, but I'm going to impart 3 things that I think are important. The first is that you belong here. Every one of you belongs here. The second is that this coat is a costume. It's a costume. And the third is that you must always believe that what you did was right for your patient. You must always believe that. So first, each and every one of you belongs here. No matter your age, your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your undergraduate degree, your college, your orientation, your family income, your family function, your family dysfunction, whatever it might be, you belong here. You and you alone have something unique to bring to our profession, and no one else can do it, and we need you. We need you because we need people to give us new perspectives, new voices, to challenge us, to make us better, to hold us accountable to our patients and their communities, and the society that entrusts us with among the highest of callings, which is to heal, to alleviate suffering, and to teach. The old ways of doing things are not working anymore. In this country, life expectancy is shorter, infant mortality is higher, medical costs are sky high. Our fellow clinicians, friends, and families are frequently turning to drugs and alcohol to treat physical, mental, and psychic pain. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but what I am telling you is that by becoming a doctor, you are now enlisted to lead. You have no choice but to lead. Doctors must be leaders. You have tremendous responsibilities, and those responsibilities are not just about the relationship between you and your patient, but about the community that's here. If you look around, you see people who love you, who support you, who honor you, to celebrate what you have accomplished. And you must remember that your patients come from communities too, and that your responsibilities are to them as well. So sitting here today, you are all now committed to leading all of us into a future of better health, and I thank you and I congratulate you. I am a very unlikely suspect to be here today. I hated math and science. Hated it. I never thought I was smart enough. I went to good schools, but I dropped out of my freshman geology class. I took geology as freshman, right? I dropped out of my freshman geology class, which was actually known as Rocks for Jocks, on my campus, embarrassed that I got a C on my first test. I didn't take my first chemistry class until I had graduated from college. I was a communication major, and as David mentioned, I worked at a large advertising agency for 4 years after getting my degree. And like many of you, I am the child of immigrants, among the first in my family to go to college, the first physician, and certainly the first in my family, and perhaps the first West Indian ever to give up a good job. When I told my father that I wanted to be a doctor, which would mean leaving my job, going back to school, and taking on hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, he said, "You have a job. If you want to help the world, go and volunteer in a soup kitchen." And so as I was thinking about a career in medicine, I volunteered at a hospital to make sure I could stand the smell. I was in a completely foreign land where I felt I had no business being. There were definitely times I thought that I couldn't do it. But then I realized that I was drawn by the intimacy of the doctor-patient relationship, that there was no other way for me to experience life's rawest edges. I also knew that I wanted to serve and to lead, and so the calling wasn't just to medicine, it was to become a physician. I entered medical school just before my 26th birthday, which at the time seemed very old. And so when I walked through these doors, I felt like an imposter. I was waiting at every turn for someone to figure out that they meant to give the spot to Sarah and not Zara. But what I could not see at the time, and what some of you may not be able to see for yourselves now, is that I belonged. That this school recognized that it was because of, and not in spite of, my unique journey, my experience, my commitment to our profession, that I had the deepest desire to heal, that I had potential to care, I had potential to cure, I had potential to lead, and to transform medicine. And as you go through your doctoring journey, which will not end at medical school, almost every one of you will think about quitting. Every one of you will be uncomfortable. At one point, you will probably feel small, embarrassed. You might feel ashamed. You'll worry that you hurt somebody. You may even worry that you contributed to their death. You will dedicate your time, your body, your soul, your heart to do your part to repair the world. And because of this, you will always get more than you give. You have so much to add to this profession, and you absolutely belong here. The greater risk for you and for Mount Sinai is to not see this through. Soak in every minute of these years. This is an amazing place. This is truly an amazing, unique place. You may not recognize it until you leave here, but it is magic here. And it is magic because you are truly at the epicenter of the world. Not just all of the diversity that the globe has to offer, but also the social and economic inequity that contributes to so much that we seek to cure. Of course, there's the science and the medicine that you need to learn, but there's also the culture and the sounds and the smells and the customs and the rituals of each community that you'll pass through that you must absorb. Each hospital, each clinic, each specialty will have its own rhythms, pace, and language. Experience each as if you own it, as if there is absolutely no place else that you would rather be. Jump in feet first. You may just surprise yourself. Never in a million years did I think I would become a surgeon. I bought into all the stereotypes, the arrogance, the hubris, all the isms, right? I think I'm a pretty nice person. Right? So I am so grateful to the late Arthur Alphys, who is a legendary former chair of surgery at Mount Sinai, who saw a surgeon in me. He told me, as I am telling you now, that I belonged. Not in spite of who I am, but because of who I am. But as I said, I felt like an imposter. And the feeling was only exacerbated and intensified by this costume, the white coat. It was big and boxy and stiff, made of poly blend. A costume is an outfit worn to create the appearance and characteristic of a particular period, person, place, or thing. And when I first looked in the mirror at my new costume, I welled with pride, and then I just burst into laughter. What on earth was I doing in this white coat? There's a trend in medicine where some doctors are getting rid of the white coat. For them, it helps them connect more with their patients. Some patients get so anxious because of the white coat that it actually gives them high blood pressure. It's a condition called white coat hypertension, where patients only have high blood pressure in the doctor's office. It's actually one of the reasons why we send patients home on blood pressure monitors to check their blood pressure before we start them on medications, because for some patients, their high blood pressure absolutely disappears when the white coat vanishes. But I still wear my white coat for two reasons. One is that I am a black woman, and sometimes when people don't see me with the white coat on, they sometimes mistake me as a member of transport or food services. Honestly, it still happens. A few years ago, I was working with one of the best chief residents I've ever had the honor to train. She's now a cardiothoracic surgeon. I'm so proud of her. A black woman from California who by her chief resident year had completed 4 years of medical school, 4 years of undergraduate, 4 years of medical school, 4 years of clinical training, a master's degree, and 2 years of postdoctoral research. We had a patient on our service who was very nervous about the surgery that we had recommended, and so we said that we would come back when we had more time and sit with her and her family at her hospital room to discuss the details of the surgery and discuss her decision. I had come from an administrative meeting, and so I did not wear my white coat. We did everything we could to put them at ease, everything that I learned at the Marchand Center, right? I introduced myself, I explained my role, we sat down, right? We looked every person in that family in the eye, we looked the patient in the eye, and we explained to them the details of the operation. We asked them about their goals, their dreams, their priorities, how the operation might fit into that, what her day-to-day life would be like, what the risks and the benefits were. And after our 45-minute or so discussion, she and her family decided that they wanted to proceed with the surgery. And so as I got up, I said, okay, I'll go and get the consent form and we can review it and sign it. And she looked at me and said, oh no, don't worry, I can wait until the doctor comes to do that. So what I've come to realize is that when I'm in the hospital, operating room, trauma bay, or intensive care unit, people aren't really there to see me. They're there to see the white coat. Even now, when my pager goes off and I have to run to a trauma code, I hesitate. Do I or do I not bring my white coat? But I always do. Because when the stakes are high, my clinical team and my patients need to know who's who. They need to know that the white coat is behind them. But it's not just the coat. You and the coat are inextricably linked. The person in the coat must embody the highest ideals that it represents. That you will put your patient's needs above your own, that you will be highly skilled, that you will have integrity, and that you will care. The white coat, which was once just a costume, has since become my second skin, integral to who I am, my role in the world, and my ability to do good. Without it, I am someone else. And so when I am called Ms. Cooper, or Mrs. Cooper, or Mrs. Ewing, which is my married name, I pause. Because now I reflexively respond to Dr. Cooper. And so this coat, which today may feel awkward and strange, represents your present and your future accomplishments and who you will become, what you will mean to the world, and gives you an incredible opportunity to heal. Wearing this coat, you have tremendous responsibilities, first and foremost to your patients and again to your community, and also to your community, because none of us succeed alone. Look around you. The people who support you came here to celebrate you, and we all stand on the shoulders of giants. They too are in the threads of this coat, and we should all thank them for making this day possible. So this is the most important thing I will say, and so if you forget everything else I said, hear this. Do what you believe is best for your patient. Always, always, always. If the patient is at the center of everything you do as a professional, you will never make the wrong choice. I believe that there are few absolutes in life, but this is one. It is hard to describe the gratification of saving someone's life, of bringing a new life into the world, of making a patient's life longer or more enjoyable, or easing their transition to death. And you will do each of these things before you leave here. You will witness extraordinary things. You will be entrusted with life and death decisions for complete strangers, and will see the human body in almost every possible form and condition. This will be hard. You are human, and so you will be tempted. At times, you may be tempted to favor expediency and to cut corners. For example, you may decide not to check a lab test. You may go home for dinner instead of checking an x-ray. You may hit snooze and sleep just 8 more minutes. You may avoid asking your patient certain important questions because you worry that the answer will take too long and you don't have time. You may worry about what your colleagues may say, and you may be tempted to make decisions that will avoid controversy. In other circumstances, you will do everything right, and things still won't go well. A patient may suffer a life-threatening complication after surgery. The medication you prescribe won't work, or worse, it will work too well, and they may suffer from side effects. All of these things are not just possible, they are likely. You will experience the greatest joy and satisfaction that life can offer and the deepest regret and sadness and self-doubt in this work. But through it all, what will keep you centered, what will help you maintain your ethical compass, avoid burnout, Maintain hope, optimism, and joy in this work is that you always do what is best for the patient. Early in my attending years, I cared for an incredibly sick woman. She had a life-threatening condition called mesenteric ischemia, where she had a blood clot that cut off the blood supply to her bowels. By the time I met her, her bowels were dying and leaking bacteria into her blood and putting her body into shock. The only possible treatment for her was surgery. It was highly likely that she would not survive the trauma of surgery because she already had a bad heart, bad lungs, and kidneys that required dialysis. Even if she did survive, surgery would have left her permanently connected to a ventilator and in a nursing home. Her heart and lung, which were already very, very sick, were shutting down because of the infection. And with or without surgery, she would suffer. And in talking to her family, I started to believe that the most compassionate choice was not to operate. Her goals were to go home. She hated the hospital. She had said she didn't want to ever have any more machines, and she didn't want to live in a facility, and that was the best that surgery could offer. But I agonized for this woman. I was up all night with her family, and this was fairly early after I had started being an attending surgeon. I did not want this patient to die on my watch. To cut is to cure, I thought. The most expedient thing to do was to operate, but I didn't think it was the best thing for her. Yet I wondered, was I abandoning her by foregoing surgery? What would my colleagues think? What about those who trained me? I didn't want to be viewed as hesitant. Was I weak? Was I a coward? Ultimately, I did not operate, and she died comfortably with her family at her bedside. But my colleagues criticized me openly. Some said I gave up too soon, and that if I had operated, I could have saved her. I felt very alone. Did I fail? How could I be a surgeon who let life slip away? But as I replayed the scenario over and over again, I reminded myself of what was important to this patient. It was not what my colleagues thought. It was about her quality of life, not mine. Using all of my knowledge and skills, I treated her and her family to the very best of my ability with respect and compassion. And throughout it all, I believed I did the very best for her. And in the end, you must honestly be able to say that you believe that you did the best for your patient. Always. Finally, I want to add one more thing. While you're here, make it a point to try to go to Central Park every day. Explore it as much as you can. Get to know every corner, every nook and cranny. It is a magical, restorative, and life-affirming place. It has been a great honor to speak with you today. I see myself in every one of you, and I do hope that you see a little bit of yourself in me. We are now connected as part of this incredible profession and part of the Mount Sinai family, and I wish each and every one of you the success and all the sweetness that a life in medicine has to offer.